Question of responsibility and is a question of the constitutional mandate to audit. The constitutional mandate to audit any document, any expenditure of money in this country is purely on two institutions, continuous audit by persons either seconded to the ministries as in ours. For example, let me give you a very good example. Part of the process of getting to where we got at KEMSA is an internal audit by ourselves, sending our own auditors to KEMSA. That's called responsibility. And we take it very gladly, and we are doing it. And that's why you see the kind of things that are happening in there. So that is number one. And then there is the issue of the actual technical implementation of an activity and a responsibility. The technical aspect of auditing and arriving at a report for Parliament, at a report for the Senate, is effectively the Auditor General. And you cannot steal the responsibility of the Auditor General under the guise of responsibility in other works in the ministry. So I hope it is clear. I am not escaping at all from responsibility in the ministry. I take it. I take it completely and proudly so. And I'm proud of the people that we lead. So I don't know whether that is clear, Madam Chair, or whether I need to explain it.
Chair, just a point of information.
Yes.
Yes, you can remember when I made my remark that what Kenyans are looking for is value for money. It's not pegged to auditing only. For example, you have sent 300 million to KEMSA. And there is so many people without masks. And the infection is going up. So then we are losing the value for money. That's why I asked in the first place, do you have a framework or monitoring and evaluation that ties what you give out to the outcomes? You see, this is not in black and white, but this is a responsibility endorsed on you as the leading person with all the technical people. Are interventions being reviewed so that you can say this is worth funding, this is not worth funding, this is working, this is not working. It's not, because we know if the Treasury really disburses, it's their responsibility to follow that. If money comes from you, it's your responsibility. But it is also your responsibility for the ministries of the Treasury money that has gone. That does it make difference in the national
Absolutely.
Fight for the COVID. So all these are in your plate.
I tell you, Mheshimiwa, through the chair, I think I have responded to that very clearly. I have made it very clear. We take responsibility for everything in our ministry. And as far as what you're talking about now is concerned, in terms of the formalities of the accounting procedures and so on, I also happen to have a literal finance background. And I can confirm to you, we have got very clear procedures. We have got very clear finance and accounting procedures in terms of this is World Bank funding. We know the structures of the World Bank funding. This is Treasury funding. It is very clear that this is how the Treasury funds itself. It is very clear what our role in the whole matter is. And I agree with you. Money that is sent to us, particularly money that is directly allocated to the Ministry of Health, must be accounted by the Ministry of Health, and the buck stops at my desk. And that's an acceptable position, completely and totally. And if we don't take action, then it is us who will not have taken action. And sometimes when we take action, and people come and tell us, you are firing away my tribesman, or you are firing away my cousin, and then we go back to square A. These are some of the issues we face, but with responsibility. And we do so with clarity as well. There is no mandateness in terms of what is supposed to happen and what is not supposed to happen. So clarity we have. So if I hope I'm clear now, because what I would hate to do is to walk out of here and you say that he didn't quite answer that. Let me make it clear. We have got input. Input being the amount of money that we sent to this institution or the other institution. We expect those institutions to, one, if it is, for example, if it is to the counties, and we have given a conditional grant, We expect the institution to follow what we have said. We will also expect to get a report from them, which is going to inform our accounting, ourselves, as far as the treasury is concerned. And secondly, the instructions that we give are in accordance with the needs that are there in the country. You cannot go and say, let us buy HIV medicine instead of malaria medicine, when malaria is the issue, not HIV, or vice versa. So the need is what informs what we have ordered for purchase, and in fact, even what we are getting from donors. So, and I can tell you, Madam Chair, that the reason why these debates are going on currently is because we have done exactly that. We have unearthed ourselves. We are the ones who have unearthed some of the malpractices that might be going on and that are under investigation at the moment. But sometimes, if you go somewhere and you start an investigation with your own space, it is unassumed that it is somebody else who started the investigation and you're hiding something. We are the ones who are unearthing, not hiding.
Madam Chair, just a follow-up on what Waziri said and what Honorable Wino was driving at. It's about the masks. I know about 3 months ago, Honorable Waziri, we sat with you through a Zoom meeting as we're passing the COVID regulations. And one of the issues that we passed for you as a ministry is that anybody who does not wear a mask will be committing an offense. And of course, an offense has a consequence in terms of a fine. As you drive in Nairobi and out of Nairobi to the counties, so many people are not wearing masks. And the reason is, many of them cannot afford a meal. So is it food that they'll put on their table, or is it that the masks that they'll have to buy? Fortunately, for the ministry, you say there's about, is it 300 million? But the ministry has not come around to doing the procurement. And we are about, is it 5 months to the COVID season? So is it that you let the Kenyans pass on this disease to others, and money is there? Si mnasemanga kuzuia ni kuzuri kuliko kuponya. Maybe you can expand on that, Honorable Minister.
I think let me finish with this issue once and for all. This money came at the end of the financial year of last year. And we have also said, Madam Chair, unfortunately, what is going to happen is this. Had I gone out and gotten a company called Jagawa Limited, for example, to start manufacturing these masks, I would now be here answering the question of how the heck did I purchase from Jagawa Limited and not follow the procedures that are supposed to be there. So make up your minds. I mean, there's an emergency here. There's an emergency situation, yet we have to follow certain procedures. And let me make it clear on this one, Madam Chair, I beg for patience on this one. What we are trying to do with this particular one is ensure, and Madam Chair, I don't know which areas my good friends have been observing, but one of the biggest problems is not lack of masks. In fact, when you go around this country, and I've done a lot of groundwork in the country, it is not really lack of masks that is a problem. A lot of people are wearing masks. Even when you go to Eldoret, Kisumu, or Nyeri, or whatever, a lot of people have masks. The issue is not having a mask. The issue is the way they wear the mask. That is a bigger problem for me than the fact of mask. But having said that, we are going to supply people who are needy. Let's make it clear. A jobless person, a person who really can't afford to buy a mask, are the people we are going to give masks to. Not all Kenyans. Because
is a minister, is a CS in order to misread this honorable house on matters of procurement? My authority is the Public Procurement and Disposal Act 205. Under that act, and if there's any procurement gentleman or lady in their team, they will tell you that in times of emergency, that act allows you as a procuring entity, one, to do direct procurement, and that is how they were able to procure things at KEMSA.
which is why we are here.
So-
yes,
So, Madam Chair, is the CS in order to mislead us that in times of emergency that they cannot procure urgently for the masks?
Honorable Jagao, so that we can move on. I think initially I had asked that question to the minister, and he had said his desire is for the tailors in every county to do these masks.
precisely.
But it's,
I think that's what he said before.
That's exactly what I said.
but it's taking ages.
So I think it's a matter of now, the time.
We are trying fast track
yes.
it, Madam Chair.
So when do you expect that the process can start, because money is there?
Madam Chair, can I come back with a note, with a response on that once I know exactly where KEBS has gotten to the approvals of the county tailors that we are using?
Okay. You can proceed with the rest of the question that have been raised.
I had covered what Dr.
Perhaps maybe you didn't get my question when I asked about, or perhaps maybe that one was to be answered by the
The PS will take up the rest of the matter, because even initially when we raised the issue of the insurance, it was also skipped. So we can just proceed, PS.
Yeah, so Chair and honorable members, starting with the issue about the insurance issue, you note that that clearly in the report we have indicated that the money was meant to assist the 22 counties that do not have a cover. And this money could not be used because it actually came on the 4th week of June. So the year had come to an end, and there is no framework that existed. And so that is why, and the framework now must be, provided for, working with the key stakeholders. And then secondly, to know that the money will have to be revoted, because that was for the last financial year. So that year is closed, that money will need to be revoted. And Chair, on the issue about how is it that has the money been paid out? I think what I can talk about is the money from the World Bank to the KEMSA. We have not disbursed any COVID-related funds that are beyond what I have talked about. The almost 750 million and another 1.5 billion for testing kits, and the about 300 million for the masks, and now maybe another additional 100 million. And all this, because they are World Bank funds, follow a very strict procedure. So even before you buy, the World Bank must approve what you have agreed on. Before payments are made, they must scrutinize the documents before that money is wired to KEMSA. And we've only been able to transmit to KEMSA, as I indicated in the report. Actually, if you look at the report, we've only transmitted less than 500 million of all the funds available. And for one reason, the documents have not been submitted in their completeness. As they come, we process the payment. We received another one of 187, we processed the payment. There was another one that they brought of 300 million, we processed. And the World Bank must give a nod before that payment is made. So for COVID, except for the 300 million for the masks, the rest of the funding is actually from the World Bank. Now, on the matter of auditing, when the National Treasury is...
Can I seek, Madam, point of clarification? So out of, from the 1.5 million, 300, and then the 750 from these other organizations, so almost 2.5 million are supposed to go to KEMSA. But the amount of money that has gone to KEMSA so far is 300 million.
Let me clarify. If
Yes.
I take you back to the report, it's very clear. It says as follows, and let's go to the table because the table is summarized. If you go to the table that is on page 9 of a submission, you will note there where we are talking about the 1 billion for the 1 billion that is meant for supporting COVID, the 1 million under external funds, not under external funds. We are talking about that to date, 461 million has been utilized. And being utilized does also not mean it is purely all the money that has gone to KEMSA, because there are also parts of this money that were used for the operations and the logistics. So you may find out of this, and we will give you more clarity. We've not paid out more than 300 million.
I think just for direction, PS.
Yes.
Just a minute. Remember, that's why I asked the PS to give us some different kind of presentations so that we can see the total amount of money that have gone to KEMSA, if it's KEMRI, if it's MTRH. And then that one will make us get clear understanding on what has gone to each agency.
Let me also be clear, Chair and honorable members. For World Bank money, you do not disburse money to KEMSA. You only pay KEMSA for what has been delivered, document certified, and that is the time that money is released to go to KEMSA. So for World Bank, no money is sitting at KEMSA. It goes into the account to move to for payment. The one that, Chair and honorable members, that we are saying was directly disbursed to KEMSA is the 300 million for the masks and the 1.5 billion, which is in number 10 for the testing kits. That is the only money that we have sent.
So, Madam PS,
that is
while you're still on the same, can you clarify on your document Annex 4 or 5,
yes,
where you've indicated donations by development partners, donation by private foundation and philanthropists,
yeah,
donation by private sector. And if you go through that document, you've indicated clearly the recipient.
yes,
If it is Ministry of Health, if it is counties, Red Cross, AMREF, I have done the calculations. And the recipient so far here from donations by development partners, donation by private foundations and philanthropies, donation by private sector, it comes to almost 800 million that has gone to KEMSA.
gone to KEMSA in form of goods, in kind.
Yes.
Like when the Jackma arrives, it is sent to KEMSA.
Yes.
From KEMSA, we will do the distribution. And by the way, Chair and honorable members, on donations, we have a 200-page document which we have sent in soft copy, showing all the donations and how they have been distributed. So you have it in soft
So
copy.
you've calculated now even the goods and the items that came
In
into
kind.
value, then you put it in cash.
In fact, it's written here, in kind. It is there. In kind. When it says in kind, it means you did not receive any money, you received goods.
For example, when you see Jackma there and you see Jackma to KEMSA, it simply means the reagents came. Where were they taken? They were either taken to KEMRI or they were taken to KEMSA. When you get PPEs from Chinese and they say they are making a donation, there is nowhere else to take them. We take them to KEMSA because that is where the storage facilities are. But you have to record where those things have gone. Otherwise, if you don't record, then how do you know that it is not Mutahi Kagwe in his house?
Yeah? Waziri, there is no problem about all this at all. But you see, it depends on how you frame it, how you table it. Because you see, if now pick it, and you know, Waziri, as a committee, we are working together. We are trying to unearth or perhaps maybe expose and differentiate between the truth and the myth that surrounds all these issues. And
Can I please,
Yes.
honorable member, clarify? If you look at annex number 8, this is distribution of COVID commodities equipment procured under the contingency, the fund from World Bank. And this, in fact, we are very clear. It's around the 5 billion. But you can see that the only items that have been procured and delivered is the ventilators, the vehicles for rapid response, some few medical equipment, and you can see how those are listed all the way down to the page, I think the 3rd page. So that is really what we can say as far as that World Bank funding is concerned. The one for donations, Chair and honorable members, there is an attachment. What you have is a summary. There is an attachment that is a 200-page document because we have documented everything that we have received, and you have been seeing the ministry receiving these things in the media, and we have as well been sending distribution leads to KEMSA to do the delivery. So what you're seeing here is a highly summarized version of what it is that we have received, and we have tried to quantify and give some value around it based on the airway bill, the documents that accompany the cargo when it's coming into the country. And then to go now further to say, when it comes to the issue of what do we tell KEMSA what to do, I want to say very, very categorically, if you look at the way that these things are requisitioned, number one, there are committees that sit. If you're talking about lab reagents and testing kits, you'll find a laboratory subcommittee which will sit, look at the machines that we have in this country, and make clear recommendation of the type of testing kit that we require. So there is no direction that we give on this matter except from what the committee has considered as the best testing kit. Let me also say that some of the testing kits we have received, even on donation, have not been very good. And the lab team are very quick to tell us this testing kit is not good, and in some cases we've even stopped using them because their accuracy levels are very low. So as the teams sit and use various testing kits, they are able to guide what is it that they think is optimal. And I believe it is in this house that we presented the 3 key considerations that the team looks at on the validated testing kits and make their recommendations. Because we also must buy testing kits that can be used with the equipment that is available in the country. So, Chair, I would say that really there is no issue about us giving direction. The other issue is on the issue of auditing. When the audits are being undertaken, the first thing that we receive from the National Treasury is, can you furnish us with a conditional grant upon which this fund was sent, so that when the auditors go out, they use...
Yes, we'll be coming back. Ms. Linda Alela, that you are enlightened of what is going on around you and across board. As we kickstart, Mwangi Maina is on standby, and at least 65% of border riders in the country are not licensed. This is according to Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i, who has launched a border management system this morning. Matiang'i, however, says the government is thinking about incorporating the border sector as part of the government's carrier services providers. Our reporter Mwangi Maina, like I have said, has been following up on this particular story and now joins us live from KICD, where of course he gets to update us in regards to what it is that the meeting had in store. But before we even get Mwangi Maina, let's first of all listen into what it is that the CS for Matters Interior had to say, and we'll cross over to more expansion of the same by Mwangi Maina.
That's what we are doing here today. We're not here to launch the border task force report. In life, you also have to be relevant. We need to help many of our people to be relevant. And when you are doing your politics, you need to be relevant and to say things that make sense. We are here today to launch the border information management system. We formed the task force in November 2018. The task force gave us the first draft of their report last year. And we agreed through the steps that our interministerial team put together, bringing the Ministry of Transport, ourselves, the State Law Office, and of course NTSA, that we will have the report distilled and broken into the legislative changes that are required, the laws that we need to amend. And our team of PSS is working on this. Then they will bring the draft to the Cabinet Committee. Then we will actually take it to Parliament, because we cannot change anything on our own. We have to go to Parliament. And along the chain, since the task force was formed, members of the Border Association and all border players have had an opportunity to participate in the process. And the windows and doors of that process are still open. You don't even need a task force to talk to your government. You can send us a memorandum, you can make an appointment and bring your views, and all the way until the amendments you want to bring to the law go through Parliament. The committee itself, when it will receive this report and the proposed bill, will again open another opportunity for public participation, as it were, so that we work together as we go along. I want to be very frank about this. To be honest with you, this is a dynamic sector and equally very challenging. We have 1.3 million motorcycles out there, about 1.7 or so riders. That tells you that there are cases where one motorcycle is ridden by 2 or 3 riders. When in 2018 we began the process of trying to reform the sector, we sat down with my brothers in the police department and said, let us now begin making demands on licensing to be sure whether or not all these riders are licensed. We discovered that over 65%
Well, Mwangi Maina will be giving details of the same as we proceed. But that aside, Senate has adjourned its sitting again on the revenue sharing debate following claims of arrest of 3 senators. It was a heated debate in the morning. Senators protested harassment by police officers. Bomet Senator Christopher Langat was arrested this morning in his Embakasi home and is currently held at the CID offices in Nairobi. Samburu's Steve Lelenkwe was also arrested early this morning while police spent the better part of the night at Kakamega Senator Cleopas Malala's home. And of course, let's listen in about what it is that has taken center stage in regards to the same reporter, that is political reporter Elizabeth Mutuku is on standby on Studio B to update us on what took center stage at this particular session in the morning and whether indeed we're going to see another session anytime soon. Crossing over to you, Elizabeth. How are you?
Good afternoon, Linda. Leila, I'm well, and I was keenly following whatever was happening in the Senate. It started all well, but then Samson Cherargei, Nandi Senator, decided to call for adjournment because of the 3 senators, as you've said, to be the Speaker to seek an information with the Security Committee to know where they are, because according to them, they've seen senators intimidated and also leaders being killed and others arrested, which they needed to know. Senators decrying of intimidation over the weekend. Now, as you've said, Senator Malala, Cleophas Malala for Kakamega, and also Langat for Bomet. So as Lelenkwe, those 3 senators, yesterday night was a tough night for them, not being able to spend even a portion of their sleep because they were fearing to be arrested. And more so after this arrest of them, after they are arrested, interestingly, no one is likely to be charged here in Nairobi. And remember all this, according to senators, it's because of the revenue sharing formula. Either way, today they have to get a solution of the matter. There are various amendments before the House, and around 4 amendments from Kirinyaga, but Kiambu, Senator Kimani Wamatangi, Orengo, James Orengo, minority leader, and also Senator Sakaja's amendment, which also has not been majorly debated and voted in. So after the adjournment, there is an interesting bit in it that Senator Kangata, who is the majority whip, called upon the senators to seek for consensus throughout the moment that the adjournment will take place. But remember, by 2:30 p.m., they will have to come back to see whether they have a report over the 3 senators who have been held in various areas, and also to be able to know whether they will proceed with the debates in the House. But remember, all these senators from Bomet to Kakamega and Samburu, they will not be charged. They are not likely to be charged here in Nairobi. As I've heard from sources, Lelenkwe is likely to be charged in Mararal, then Christopher Langat in Bomet, and Kakamega Senator, he's also in his house, is not yet been arrested, but he said he cannot be arrested while there are no representative for him and other on the issue. That is what I'm gathering, but later to that PM, I'll be following this issue to see the political side of it, because as it is today, the Senate has to make a solution, has to get a solution for this country. But interestingly, let's listen into what the senators have said in the floor of the House.
Those 3 senators, if we have to sit on this table, we will sit on it. Because, Mr. Speaker, I am in this Senate. Mr. Speaker, I was elected in this Senate because one person who was a member of this Senate was found dead on his bed. Senator Mutula Kilonzo, my dad. And if it's not Malala, and if it's not Lelegwe, it's going to be me or you.
Senator Kangata, you're the whip of the majority, the entire majority. Senator Pogisho, you're the leader of the majority, the entire majority. Senator Orengo, you're the leader. Mr. Speaker, you're the speaker of this entire house. I know we've said things over the weekend, I will not repeat through this mic. But Mr. Speaker, all of us are yours. I urge you, Mr. Speaker, Because the standing order says until a future occasion, that this morning sitting, Mr. Speaker, be adjourned until those members are produced in this House. And from the authority of your chair, Mr. Speaker, you can even summon the IG to appear here.
And back to, all right, Elizabeth.
Those are some of the sentiments of the senators in the floor of the House. But later in the evening, as I said earlier, I'll be following to hear where this goes, and later on file a report following that.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for that. We eagerly wait to see what it is that will be there from the Senate, and whether, like you rightfully put it, we are going to get a solution out of this moving on. So on that very note, I think we won't be giving you much of the updates, but not to worry, because we got you covered at 4 p.m., at 7 p.m. and at 9 p.m. with more stories right here from my editorial team. Thank you so much once again for keeping us company. That's where we get to wind up the session on Newsfeed. See you again tomorrow. My name is Linda Alela.